The need for security of local communities necessitated the creation of vigilante groups even before modernization. From providing security for neighborhoods in different communities, vigilante groups have metamorphosed into a national group wielding influence far more than imagined. An informal security group before now, the role of the task force in Borno State in the fight against insurgency perhaps gave the recognition to the group and propelled the Senate's passage of a bill seeking the establishment of Vigilante Group of Nigeria. The bill has passed the third reading in the Senate, and there is an increasing recognition of the group also by state governments. Today, on our program, we take a look at the implication of state vigilante groups in Nigeria. My name is Segun Ojelade. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I'm being joined in the studio by a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police and a legal practitioner, Mr. Felix Obaudu. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, viewers.
We also have with us in the studio a legal practitioner and a rights activist, Esther Uzoma. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
Now, retired AIG, it's a worrisome development now. Almost every state is passing the establishment of its own vigilante group. At the national level, we have one. What must have necessitated these groups forming up, coming up? Is it because of the failure of the known security agencies, or there is truly a need for it as we grow as a nation?
Well, thank you very much. Let me start by saying that in terms of numbers, the security outfits we have in this country are grossly inadequate in terms of the strength. Take, for instance, the police. United Nations ratio is 1 policeman to 400 persons. What is the strength of the police today? So it's grossly inadequate. Even with the military coming to once in a while performing police duties, you have the civil defense now, and some of the security outfits that are still grossly inadequate. A lot of areas are left unprotected, uncovered. And that is what has given room to this urge to try and put vigilante groups in place. And don't also forget, beyond that, some of the Francophone countries surrounding Nigeria, they have something similar to that. And it's so effective in the sense that if a stranger steps into any of those communities, the village head gets to know. And they're very honest about it. Honesty of purpose, sincerity of purpose. And so those societies are very well secured. But here, like I said, is a situation of gross inadequate security personnel on ground. They are not enough. They are not just enough. So, and we've always said that security is everybody's business. Because no matter how effective they are, they need information from outside the system to complement all their efforts. So I think that's what has led to these agitations and the clamor to put them in place.
Let's look at the, both of you are lawyers. So, Barrister Uzoma, let's look at the legal implications of some of these things, establishments of vigilante group. Are we not going to get to a level whereby we say, okay, the role of some of these groups are conflicting, even with the role of the established security agencies that we know?
Oh, no, not at all. If we look at purely at the legal dynamics, one thing is certain. Some of my friends have argued that the vigilantes, for instance, the civilian groups that assist in the fight against Boko Haram, that they are non-state actors. And I have always maintained very strongly that to the extent that these civilians are recruited by the state, to the extent that they are trained by the state, to the extent that they are instructed and deployed by the state, they are state actors. You see, so we have, as what we have actually, what is even happening in Kano, for instance, other parts of this country, we have state governors, you know, recruiting, passing laws, establishing these vigilantes, arming them. Please, what is non-state actor about that? These are another arm, you know, of security agencies. We have a saying in my place that it is only the fool that does not know when the breadfruit tree is shared. Why? Because when the breadfruit tree falls in the compound, every woman, when they say, let me take small and cook, let me take small and cook, suddenly there's no breadfruit. Let me tell you, the security apparatus, specifically in terms of policing, you know, that is balkanized. Every state governor in this country has his own state police. They are function under an established law of various state governments. They arrest, they detain. What more?
I think some of those things that she says should give you cause for worry. As a retired police officer, they arrest, arming them, detain, you know. Are you not worried that with the situation that we have on ground in Nigeria, even with the coming of 2019, that some of these, whether state actors or non-state actors, can be misused or mishandled?
Of course, you can't rule out the possibility of their being abused.
That's right.
We're in Nigeria. The issue of sincerity of purpose comes to play here.
Yes.
Comes to play here. Now, when you set them up, what do you intend them to achieve? Are they keeping to that, or are they digressing? Are they just camouflaging to say, oh, we're trying to complement security agencies, when in actual fact, people that are being used for some other purposes? For instance, yesterday we were somewhere and somebody was saying, don't mind them. Some of these guys, because elections are forthcoming, they want to put them in place to fight the opposition, to help to snatch ballot boxes, to rig elections, all manner of things. They may be right, they may not be right. But see, the question of abuse cannot be ruled out. But let me also make another comment on the issue of their functions conflicting with those of security agencies.
Yes.
You see, in all honesty, if they are sincere, there'll be no confliction.
That's right.
There'll be no conflict if they are sincere. Because the objective is the same, to provide a safe society, a safe environment for all manner of human endeavors to take place. Okay? Socialize and all of that, the economy and all of that. So
I've had comments like, okay, look at this governor.
Yes.
When this incident happened, so time. Imagine if he had the state police, or even he has his own army, for instance. What will have happened?
No, we've had such instances, of course, because of the way we are. But ideally, that's why we talk about responsible leadership. Leadership that is accountable. Leadership that has the fear of God. Leadership that has the commitment to do what the law prescribes, what the law says. I said, that's why we always talk about equality before the law. Because I don't belong to your party, you send such agents after me. No, that is wrong. But if you are prepared to treat everybody equally, I always emphasize equality before the law.
Okay.
If that applies, nothing to worry about. Okay. But when you become selective, that's when the problem comes. Yes.
Now, Barrister Uzoma, are you not also worried about the kind of people that will be recruited into some of these vigilante groups. I think that's one of the reasons why Mr. President is withholding his assent to the Peace Corps bill. I mean, when even the conventional police, when they still have problem of some miscreants slipping into the quality. Yes. Now, how are we sure that, okay, these states have the requisite knowledge and ability and capacity to screen out miscreants from joining to?
No. I'm not. The truth of the matter is this: we have security at the pleasure of the governors. So it is that person who will do their bidding. You know, the truth of the matter is this: these persons who are recruited, they are not the best of the best. These people are specifically recruited at the pleasure of the governors. They take instructions and they deliver at his instance. It is justice at the pleasure of the governors. Please. So the inference that, oh, men of integrity, no, not at all. There is even no hidden fact. These persons are recruited. They have specific things to do. Have you seen what they are doing in the states? Have you seen the kind of tyranny they are unleashing? They constitute a power unto themselves. Jury, judge, and executioner. So the question of persons of questionable character does not even arise. It is very, very clear. They are recruited to effect that work of security as the chief executive deems fit and execute the pleasures of the chief executive. Period.
Now, that again calls for worry, retired AIG. You know, so when we have situations like this, what do? Do we say, okay, don't establish, or do we find a way as a nation to ensure that even if we are creating them, the right thing is done, and that will involve a collaboration of everybody?
Well, let me start by saying that the truth of the matter is that you find at the end of the day, most of the states, they might end up recruiting their party faithfuls. Those that are loyal to them, like she rightly observed. And of course, if you don't belong, you don't stand the chance of being recruited.
Oh, yes.
So that's what takes us back to the point I raised earlier. Sincerity of purpose. Fairness to everybody, irrespective of which party you belong, irrespective of your faith. That's one of the problems confronting us as a nation.
That sounds very tall.
Yes, I recall late last year, or some 2 years back, it was either in North Korea or South Korea. The president had to sign the death warrant for his uncle, who was convicted of an offense for.
It was North Korea.
Yes.
Corruption.
You see? Yeah, maybe corruption, maybe. There was no sentiment, oh, it's my brother, we are related, it's my... No, something. That's why I always say equality before the law, fairness, equity, and of course, fear of God.
Okay. Now, some members of the public have also made their inputs into the program. So, we'll take a short break now,
okay,
and we'll hear from some members of the public.
A welcome idea because of the security challenges we're having in this country. You know, at times before the police will react to come, you know, protocols upon protocol. But these vigilantes, I think there's this bureaucracy that they will break and immediately they will act. And I think they are more effective somehow than, sorry to say, than our Nigerian police for now.
So many persons will want to abuse it. If it's been approved by governors, I will say no. But by communities, yes. But by governors, no. And that is why I will be opposed to vigilantes controlled by state governors.
An important part to the security that is happening in this country. The vigilantes are coming from the rural area or the community, and they will be able to identify any strange movement. And it should be another source of information to the police even.
T group is very, very important because security is everybody's business.
I don't support that motion because if we should be able to support that motion, the governors will use that means in tormenting their opponents.
You're welcome back. We've heard from members of the public. Now, the views are divergent, even as we have in the studio. Now, everybody is afraid of the governors. Should we be afraid of them in this kind of issue that we're discussing about? Is it, I don't seriously believe that the situation is as bad as
Really?
we are being made to feel. Because the security outfit that we are trying to create, just like some people said, still have a role to play in ensuring that even at the grassroots, you mentioned some African countries the other time, how do we refine it to the extent that it can serve a good purpose for society?
Well, let me start again by saying that one of our biggest challenges in this country, like I've always said, post-Benton, is the security outfits are not sufficiently empowered to play their roles. In some other political climes, they are very well taken care of. And that takes me back to the point I've always made. Nigerians should keep on asking themselves. I'm not defending the police here. I'm only making a statement for people to think of.
Will we understand if
yes. You see, why is it that when Nigerian policemen go abroad on peacekeeping missions,
and they do
they excel, but when they get back home here, they're a failure? And I've always said, here we want to invest minimally and want to reap optimally. It doesn't work out that way. If you don't empower me to function, I cannot function optimally. But the bottom line is, one, honesty, sincerity of purpose. Forget about sentiments, because that is the main thing. Now let's digress a little bit. Look at what this senator did now, Senator Sani, about the emoluments of senators. Some of his colleagues may not be happy with him, but you see, if you read papers, go through social media, Nigerians are very, very happy, because so much money is going in there. But again, let me quickly add that even though security agencies are not properly funded, they still need to account for the little that has been given, yes.
Okay.
Convince us that this is what I've used it for. Okay. You see? But like I always said, people should not get scared. Let us be patient a little bit. You cannot cross a bridge until you've gotten to the bridge. Oh, election is coming next year. That's why this guy is going to put things in place. It may be so, it might not be so. But let us see how it works. Because the police security agencies cannot be everywhere. They cannot be everywhere. But when you have these guys in place and have an intelligence report, they can pass it on to the security agencies. And with that, something that is just brewing up can be nipped in the bud.
Okay. Now, are you, because even with the various arms of the security that we have now, there is still disunity. The police, the army, the civil defense. We still have a situation where they are not cooperating and collaborating.
No synergy.
No synergy. Now, how would that happen? Even with the vigilante corps, will the police or the army, will they respect, cooperate, and collaborate with them?
They don't need to, because vigilantes are, envisioned and are planted squarely at the states, and their highest authority giver is the chief executive. That is the simple truth. They exist at the pleasure of the chief executive. You see, there is a collapse of security. Anybody in this country who tells you that security has not collapsed is not telling you the truth. The hierarchy of the presidency admitted as much, that there's a collapse of security. Nigerians are resorting to primordial methods of security. What am I saying? Do you know what is primordial? They are going back. What did the Oba of Benin do recently to, punish people who traffic? He brought out a charm that has not seen the light of day for over
centuries.
Fantastic. There is a positive collapse. People are resorting to primordial allegiances, the things that they thought gave their forefathers security. from Benue to Plateau, from Enugu to Ebonyi. Primordial. People are resurrecting the gods of war. Because they think that, in fact, a judge in Lagos asked police to provide security. This has been circulating in the social media. What did they tell him? They said, please, Oga, move out from there. We cannot provide security there. There is a positive collapse. And it is in this environment of collapse of mainstream security that all sorts, we now have persons who want to take advantage of this, vacuum. Yes, that is the entrance of advent of the vigilantes.
Okay. Now, talking about the limits of the vigilantes. Now, if you have the ears of those who should be in control and in charge, now, what will you say should be their limits? Because they cannot treat all ailments, yes. Arrest, detain, charge, prosecute. What should be their limits? How far must they go?
Now, for the vigilante groups, their jurisdictions within the environment, within their communities, okay? Under our laws, every citizen has the right to effect an arrest. Yes. But once you arrest a suspect, the suspect must be promptly handed over to the police. That's very important. So one, you are confined to your community. Secure your community. If you see anybody committing an offense and you effect the arrest, you transfer over to the police to do the needful thereafter.
Okay.
And of course, don't also forget that there are policemen, police stations in some of those communities. Some communities, in fact, because of the way our terrain is and the size of this country, you go to some states, you can't even find police presence in certain areas. Okay. You will need to drive for so many kilometers before you see policemen. So when some of these things happen, a lot of damage will have been done before security men even get in there. Sir. Somebody complained about the response time of security agencies. Yes. Certain things will have happened. Even when they're informed, say, look, that reminds me, there was a time some herdsmen were operating, I think it was Nikichi also. They went to a police station to report, say, look, this is what's happening. Policeman said, sorry, we have a vehicle here to go, but there's no petrol in the vehicle. So they were more or less looking up to the commanders command, yes. Now, so these are a lot of challenges, but there was a point we mentioned much earlier, the question of synergy.
Okay.
This infighting, this question of I'm superior to you and all of that, it shouldn't be there at all. Okay. They should be seen as having and working towards the same common purpose, security in the society. So there should be no hatred, no bitterness between police and civil defense or even the military.
Quickly, because of our time, is this not trying to bring in state police through the back door by some of these governors?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so because, you see, when you talk about state police, the federal police will pull out. The president might be there, but it will be very, very minimal. Very, very minimal.
And there will be jurisdictional authority.
Yes, that's right. It will be very, very minimal. It's not state police yet. We haven't gone to that level yet.
Okay. Now, how do we refine what is developing now before it becomes a monster?
It's a monster already. It is. We have a monster on our hands. If it were the question of state police, for instance, the federal will still have a level of control. What we have presently, are people who are, firmly under the control and cover of state governors, yes. And so when you see the tyranny of governors, governors who just blatantly, disobey the laws, they have their own army, in quote. Okay. However, there is something that we can do, and it is outside the government. We must resurrect the office of the Nigerian citizen. No other person can resist any incursion into the private space except the Nigerian citizen. It's not about government.
Okay. In one or two sentences, if you are to advise the authorities at this material time, what will you say should be the direction, the common good in all this that we're talking about, briefly?
Well, first and foremost, let's all take security very seriously. It's our foremost challenge in this country. And like I've always said, in the absence of security, no form of human endeavor takes place.
Okay.
So it should be a priority. Security should be prioritized. That's number one. Two, the issue of vigilante groups and all of that.
Yes.
When you have to do your recruitments, make sure those recruits are properly screened. Make sure you are recruiting those that had good materials to do that job.
Okay.
We've gone beyond the level of, oh, they have no job, so anybody could go in there. That's where we make the mistake.
Thank you very
so
much.
Very, very honest about all of that.
Okay.
Yes.
I must,
properly trained too.
I must,
and properly motivated.
Yes. I must thank you, retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, James Obaudu, for all that you have said on the Felix Obaudu.
Yes.
Must thank you for all that you have said on the program.
Thank you very much.
And then Barrister Esther Uzoma. Thank you also for your comments on the program.
My pleasure.
Wish you the very best in all that you do.
Thank you.
This is where we call it a date on the program, Nigeria Today for today. Join us tomorrow for another package. I am Shegun Ojelade. Bye-bye.